Good evening, friends. Today we are going to talk about cytokine storm. So, what is this cytokine storm? Whenever there is a viral infection in our body produces massive amount of cytokines, and these cytokines are produced by various mechanisms, and this can lead to inflammation. For example, in case of coronavirus, also there is cytokine storm and there is massive production of cytokines, and this causes inflammation of lungs, inflammation of alveoli, and so these alveoli cannot exchange oxygen with our body, and so there is a respiratory failure. Now, in case of Ebola virus, whenever there is a Ebola virus infection in our body, there are two kinds of cells which are activated: Th1 cells and Th2 cells. Th1 cells produce IFN gamma and IL-2, and Th2 cells also produce IL-2 and IFN gamma. So there is a kind of forward loop which keeps running all the time, producing massive amount of cytokines. And then these dendritic cells, these also take up these virion particles, and they express these virion particles on the MHC protein. And these virion particles are identified by CD4 and CD8 T cells. And CD4 T cells will release IL-2, which will activate CD8 plus T cells, and CD8 plus T cells will kill the infected cells, and these infected cells are eaten by macrophage cells, and further the macrophage cells eat even macrophage cells, and during all these processes there is very massive amount of cytokine production, which can lead to the inflammation in our body. So, there are NK cells also present, which can kill infected macrophages, and this in turn activates more macrophages producing cytokines. Now, there is another kind of drug which is called as hydroxychloroquine, which is a kind of immunomodulator and which is used to reduce the inflammation in the coronavirus patients, but it is not suggested in prophylaxis because it may reduce immunity so much that person may become more vulnerable to coronavirus. Then you have another type of drug called remdesivir, which targets RNA dependent RNA polymerase, which is another mechanism. And then you have protease inhibitors, which have got another mechanism. But in case of reducing cytokine storm, we use hydroxychloroquine. Thank you, friends.